Hi guys, this is Jordan here from RSM Overland and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm gonna show you how to replace your front brakes on your Subaru Forester in order to go from this to this. This is on the first gen SF5 Subaru Forester, but the process is gonna be pretty much the same on the other generation of Foresters and on other Subarus as well, like the Outback, Impreza and more. You're gonna want to watch this video entirely because at the end we're gonna get through the bleeding process, which is pretty important. Stay tuned. By the way, this video happened thanks to the Sub Garage, so if you need anything for your Subaru from stock parts to aftermarket, like my awesome skid plates, go in the description down below and check out the link and just ask him for anything. In order to replace your front brakes, you're not gonna need a lot of tools. Just grab your 17, 14 and 8mm wrench. You can prepare a tie-down strap, some grease and gloves as well. And obviously everything to jack up the car. Let's get to it. While everything is still together, what you're gonna do first is to crack open every bolt we're gonna have to work with. This includes the two 40mm bolts of the caliper, the two 17mm bolts of the caliper's bracket, but also the 14mm banjo bolts from the brake line. Just crack it, do not unbolt it. You can see how stuck it is. This is pretty crazy actually. Get the whole brake assembly off and tie it down to your spring. Be careful of not dropping it, it will probably damage your brake line. Then you can easily remove your disc brake. You can take some time to clean everything behind it with a metal brush. Then put your new disc on. I recommend you to not secure it with the two little bolts which are around the hub. They always end up stuck and are gonna be a problem if you have to remove your disc out there on the side of the trail. To make the install a bit easier, you can put it in place with two lug nuts. Then we're just gonna remove one caliper's bolt to open it and remove the pads. When the pads are out, you can close the caliper. You can now put the assembly back in place with the two 17mm bolts, and you can nicely tighten them since we're not gonna work with them anymore. Now unbolt the two 14mm bolts and remove the caliper. You can secure it with the tie-down strap on the spring like we did before. But before getting the new caliper on, I really suggest you to check the guided pins. Get them out, check the seals, clean them, re-grease them and put them back in place. Make sure the seal is nicely seated in the gutter of the pin. It should move freely and easily, just like this. Now it's time to put the brake pads on. With certain brands, like this one, the fitment can be a little bit tight. You just have to trim the knobs a bit to fit them nicely. Now you can put them in place. Don't forget the back plates and put some grease on them to avoid any rattling. Now you can fit your new shiny caliper, but make sure you got the right one. The bleeding nipple should be on the top of the caliper. You can nicely tighten the two 14mm bolts since we're not gonna work with them anymore. The caliper should be able to move like this. Now you're gonna put the brake line on the new caliper. You're gonna have to unbolt the banjo bolts on the old caliper and quickly fit it to the new caliper. I really recommend you to put some gloves on and to protect everything with a rag, since brake fluid is highly corrosive and not so good for you. There are two copper washers you should change since they're squished when you tighten the bolt. I didn't add spares, so I didn't change them. It wasn't a problem and I didn't add any leaks. Put the washers back in place around the banjo bolts and tighten it to the new caliper. Make sure you cleaned all the brake fluid from everywhere, and that's it for the caliper, disc and pads change. Now you have to bleed it. For that you can buy a bleeding kit or do it by yourself with a plastic bottle with some brake fluid at the bottom, a hose and a zip tie to secure the hose, and a 8mm wrench. Pull out the rubber cap and fit the hose to the nipple, then secure it with the zip tie. Now, the best way is to call somebody for help. So, a pressure on the brake pedal can be applied when you open the bleeding nipple.
Stop.
You're gonna see a lot of air bubbles going out of the system and you will have to bleed it until there's no more bubbles. During the process, make sure to regularly check on your master cylinder's fluid level. You don't want it to be empty. Refill it if necessary. When there's no more bubble, the bleeding's done. You can firmly tighten the bleeding nipple. Then refill your master cylinder to the max one last time. Put your wheel back and the car to the ground. It's done.
And before going on a test drive, you really want to push that brake pedal a lot so the brakes can get really tight and firm. You should have a nice brake pedal under your feet. And just after you've done that, and just before going on a test drive, a final check if there are any leaks under the new brakes could be useful as well.
And that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I also hope it will help you change your front brake by yourself. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. You can also check my Instagram account, my Facebook page, and my merch store. And if you want to support me in another way, I also have a Patreon page. All the links are gonna be down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching and see you next week.